What's going on, everybody? It's me, your host, Bella Wright, with the Occult Gaming Channel. And this is going to be a very strange episode. First and foremost, it is post-commentary. And apologies, this is Darksiders II Deathinitive Edition. I don't know if we're so much as continuing our journey as we are getting acclimated to what the hell's going on right here. But I'm not sure exactly how far after the last episode that this episode takes place. I'm hoping that I just kind of like walked in the door, but it looks like I might have done some dungeon exploration before this. I am very confused about that, but for right now we're just going to press on with this episode because I actually have already recorded the episodes after this. And because of that, I don't really want to take too much time going back to that old file and getting back up to this point. I just want to basically progress forward in this playthrough. So if I miss too much footage here, I'm gonna go back and kind of go through this dungeon again and look at what I might have missed. If I miss too much footage, what I'll do is I'll just re-record the episode on the other file, but I'll do it later on. So I do apologize for people who are getting this episode here and now. But it's kind of what has to happen for me to progress the other episodes in a timely fashion right now, because I really want to finish this playthrough by I want to finish it by April. I want to finish it by the end of April, and I want to do everything basically. I want to do Crucible, and also just finish the game up and find all the collectibles. I want to 100% the game by the end of April. So. This episode is an episode that messed up on me, and I realized that by the end of this recording here, I realized that it actually didn't record for me, and so this footage that you're looking at is actually PS4 share footage, because my Elgato did not capture the footage at the time, and this is when I was working with my older laptop. Right now I'm using a laptop from, I believe, last year. I believe it was made last year with updated specs, i7 processor. But before, I was doing all my videos on a laptop from 2011 with the i3 processor. So it's really a miracle that I was able to do as much as I was able to do with that one. But it just eventually just crapped out on me, and I wasn't able to really record videos with any sort of consistency. So apologies for this ramshackle recording style and these videos that don't make sense, but I will go ahead and continue the playthrough. Right now I need momentum to actually keep this thing going, and I just don't have enough time to devote to catching back up to this moment. So it looks like I think I'm only missing about, at the most, maybe a half hour of footage at this place. That's at the most. Maybe I'm thinking I might have just missed like one room or something like that, but I'm not even sure. But I do apologize, and I will go back and rectify that situation. But other than that, yeah, we're exploring this. I think this is the City of the Dead, if I'm not mistaken. We're exploring the City of the Dead here. And the City of the Dead is huge. There's a lot going on in this place. And I'm full up on weapons here. This thing I didn't notice was actually it's like a axe with a name, but you can also level it up. It's a strange kind of weapon. I don't remember these types of weapons being in the original release of Darksiders II. Special unique weapons that you can also level up. Looks cool though. Looks like we got a Book of the Dead page over there. Hopefully I remember to get that one. I'm not entirely sure. Don't remember. And this is an interesting room too. There's a bit of platform you can do in here for some additional secrets. And I believe around this time I remember that. And I probably saw that weapon or whatever's glowing up there. Guess I didn't see the wooden beam on the other side. And damn, this PS4 share is like exceptionally dark. I can hardly see anything. I'll try to brighten that up in the editing. So as I was recording the episode before this one, or I should say the episode after this one, honestly, I'm gonna have to read this. Hold on. Oh, never mind. Looks like that's something I have to pick up from Ballroom. Am I just gonna teleport there now? I don't exactly know what I'm doing right here. But anyway, in the episode after this one, I referenced the fact that I might combine this episode with the next one for one extra long episode. But instead, I'm just going to have this be its own episode. Because if I do replace it later, it'll be easier to just take this one out of the circulation and then put the new one in there. So, I don't know. I might just play the... start that extra file and see if I can get back to this part. I think that'll take about maybe 2 or 3 hours, which I don't entirely have because I also have to finish this short story I'm writing for a charity, and I also want to start my art courses on Udemy. So I don't know. What troubles me is I don't know exactly how much footage is missing from here. If it's like, even if it's 10 minutes, that upsets me, but if it's only 10 minutes, I can live with that. For now, anyway. Because I do want a completionist run, but what can you do? Stuff is just not the way. Well, at the time, stuff wasn't the way I needed it to be, but now things are a lot more consistent and easier to do. It's just for this particular playthrough, to complete it, I'm still using old footage that I recorded previously. It's just the fact that if I want to get those episodes that I recently recorded, like literally earlier today and yesterday, if I want to get those edited, rendered, and published in a timely fashion, I really need to start working on that stuff now. That's why I don't really have like an additional 3 to 4 hours to record, to play through the game just to get to this part again, and then record it again, which will take another hour. I don't really have that type of time at this current moment. I'm glad that I backed up the save here. I didn't back up everything though, unfortunately. Everything I could have. His ability is pretty cool. I wish the ability had more combat applications. For that reason, I prefer the interdiction a lot better. But if you could maybe get like a mixture of the two, that would be cool. Or only if, maybe if just this had some type of combat application. If you could just summon extra deaths to help you in combat, that would be pretty cool. The solution here is pretty simple. I'm surprised I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe I give myself too much credit. Yep, give myself way too much credit. Way too much credit. That would not work. So I'm gonna try to roll in there, I guess. Genius. Genius. Nope. Okay, this is another way you can do the. Oh, never mind. I don't know how when I figure this out. Probably here. Okay, I figured it out. I'll chalk it up to me just getting used to using this power. So you know. Instinctively, the thing I always want to do is just to put the statue in between the two and then let the other two do all the work. But most of the solutions that you come across with this thing is to put death on a switch and then use one of the other clones on another switch and then use the third one to maneuver around. You're going to see that in upcoming episodes. And this is, I think, that Maximus hammer. This one can be upgraded too. Two paths. Alright, nothing but that treasure chest in there. And honestly, treasure chests in this game are fairly optional. For me, I typically am overburdened by items. So it'd probably behoove me to get less, to open less treasure chests. Though you do get money out of these too. Alright, skeleton key. This is gonna be familiar. This leads back to this room. Alright. I wonder, was Darksiders 2 influenced at all by the original Darksiders? Or I wonder if Darksiders 2 was in any way influenced by the first Dark Souls. I just thought about that as I'm looking at the way the level winds in on itself. I imagine that it wasn't too influenced by Dark Souls. If anything, maybe Demon Souls. I'm not even sure about that. I'm just saying, the reason I say Dark Souls is the way the level folds in on itself. But Dark Souls wasn't the first game to initiate that sort of thing. That's actually very common in the Metroidvania design. The way those video game types are designed. which Dark Souls honestly did take a few cues from. All right, southwest, east, east, east for the coordinates of the Soul Arbiter Scroll. Yeah, I realized Dark Souls took cues from the Metroidvanias, particularly the Castlevania games. When I was looking through, really when I was playing, I played through Symphony of the Night, I think 2 years ago, and I had a blast with it. But I was like, yeah, this stuff is very familiar. A lot of the monster types, the items you get, everything has a description to it. It just reminded me of that first Dark Souls game, and I was like, huh. I think these guys were heavily inspired by Symphony of the Night. Now that we're in the age of remakes, Symphony of the Night would be a very awesome game to remake. I hope they remake all the PS1 classics. The one I'm most looking forward to, of course, would be Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. I could die at that point. I could legitimately die at that point. But if they remade, the better choice to remake actually would be the first Blood Omen game, because that game has a ton of content. Just a ton of content. We're talking about a game that's probably promises to be as big as a Witcher game or like Skyrim or something like that in terms of all the areas you could visit. It's very open world, and you have all these bosses, and the world design is like really crazy, and then you're hopping through time. That game could legitimately be as epic as Final Fantasy VII. Or anything like that. So they should really, if they really want to catch somebody's eye and to catch their attention, the first Blood Omen game, and from there they could like reboot the entire Soul Reaver series if they were really smart about it. But I don't think Crystal Dynamics is interested in that series anymore, unfortunately. They're doing Marvel games now. But also, to get me off the Legacy of Kain, because I could talk about that for the rest of the episode. There's I think a Book of the Dead page over there. Yep. Which one is this? Full chapter. So it's gonna be 10. Chapter of the Book of the Dead has been restored. This item may be sold to Fulgrim. A chapter of the Book of the Dead has been restored. So another PS1 classic that I'd like to see remade. I would say I would say Metal Gear, but I really enjoyed Twin Snakes, so they could just like kind of, I mean, honestly, they could give it the, another remake, like a modern, remake of that, but Konami will never go for it. If Sony gets it, maybe they will do that, but I don't think Konami will go for it. Parasite Eve, that's one I really like to see remade. Of course, people are really trying to see Dino Crisis remade. I think that would be pretty dope. There's a lot. There's honestly a lot of RPGs. The one I really want to see remade, and honestly, shame on me for not beating the first one. I always play it but never beat it. I always play it and get pretty far in it but never beat it. But I like to see Chrono Trigger remade. That could actually eclipse 7 in terms of like how dope it would be, because it'd be like you see this like cell shaded art style, but it would have very similar gameplay actually to like the Final Fantasy VII remake, because they both use like active time systems, and I think it could be remade with that exact same engine and battle system. What's another one? Other than Parasite Eve, they already did Resident Evil 3, which I'm hearing mixed things about that one. Seems overall pretty good, but it's just like I feared. They actually ended up cutting content, like they did with the Resident Evil 2 remake, cutting quite a bit of content. In any remake, I hope they don't cut content, because that's the worst, honestly. Yeah, of course, server number one. I like to see that remade, of course, but only if they remake it from the very start with the Blood Omen remake. Man, there's a ton of games. Why am I blanking? Why am I blanking right now? There's a ton of games. I never really played Xenogears, so I don't really know about that one. And Siphon Filter doesn't really need a remake. We have a ton of games that are already like Siphon Filter. But I think the Parasite Eve would be a really good call. I think the first Silent Hill was right for a remake too. But again, Konami, so probably not gonna happen. Alright, we got some more treasure. More treasure. I would say something as crazy as like Nightmare Creatures, but honestly, you don't really need to remake, because we already got Blood Omen, so that's close enough. I feel like. Something I like to see remade. I don't think anybody else really cares about. It's probably Okuji Heart of Darkness. That was a game that kind of caught my attention back in the day, but it's, you know, I don't think anybody really cares about that one. Einhander. Let's see better ones though. There's a ton. How come I'm blanking right now? There's a ton of PS1 classics. A lot of them are RPGs, like Dragoon. You got the other Final Fantasies 8, 9. A lot of them are, like I say, turn-based RPGs.
Impossible.
Wild Arms. What's that other one? Vagrant Story. Tomb Raider. But they already remade that, but that's another one that they could really go ham and redo it. I think the remakes they already did for that were like really good though. Like the ones they used the Tomb Raider Legend engine. Those are really good. Putting those in HD would be pretty good though. Like kind of using that same engine and doing everything in HD. That'd be pretty good. I prefer like to have runny jumpy Laura instead of cinematic automatic jump Laura. I prefer like X button jump Laura to
I cannot.
the modern Laura. Even though I did like the first Tomb Raider remake game or reboot, first Tomb Raider reboot game. Yeah, but the best two games out of all this they could remake. I'm gonna do a top three. The top three games that they could remake at this very moment are Chrono Trigger. I think that is probably number one. You know what? Fuck it. I know I'm a Legacy of Kain fanboy, but honestly, the best game that they could remake at this current juncture would be Blood Omen 1. Blood Omen 1 is just so content rich, and the content that it has could appeal to everybody if done correctly. It could really bring the Legacy of Kain franchise back and make and bring a lot of people to attention, because we haven't really had a really top tier vampire game in a very long time, very long time. So that would and that could actually kind of restart a vampire craze too. But not a Twilight-esque vampire craze, but just a general vampire craze that could really spark something. The second best one they could actually remake for me would be Chrono Trigger. That one, that story, that art style, the way the combat system could shake out, easy money for them if Final Fantasy VII, which it will, if Final Fantasy VII basically does well. I messed that up quite easily. And that's a simple one to actually get. Just climb up, jump, grab the thing. Yeah, but Chrono Trigger's easy money. A Metal Gear remake is quite easy to mess up, but I think that would be the third best choice when it comes to remaking. There you go. To remaking the old games, because that could really capture the attention and imagination of the gaming public. They've already done Crash Bandicoot, and Spyro, so we don't have to worry about those. They've even gotten Crash Team Racing, which is just amazing. They've even got Medieval. How crazy is that? They've remade Medieval. I'm gonna have to buy Medieval and play through that one. Cause I was excited when they announced it, but I completely forgot about it. That thing came out like a year or two ago. But yeah, the top three would be Blood Omen 1, because the content and the way that game could end up, if it was done correctly, could just blow everything out the water for a very long time. We got wraiths here. Because when you think about it, a Blood Omen remake would have even more content than this game. And this game has multiple worlds and a lot of power-ups, but Blood Omen, the first game, had even more power-ups. Even more places to visit, to go. More dungeons. Yeah, in Blood Omen you can turn into a werewolf and do all types of crazy stuff. And you got spells galore. You have spells galore in Blood Omen. You can access all that stuff all at the same time. Like there's no, only limitation is how many spells you've collected. There's a relic of Etugoth. Nope, messed that up. Yeah, number 2, of course, again, Chrono Trigger. Number 3 is Metal Gear Remake. What's the fourth one? The fourth one would be that Dino Crisis remake. That could really do well. Dinosaurs plus the new Resident Evil engine could really catch some attention. And number 5, out of all those games, for me it would be Parasite Eve, but if it wasn't me, I think what could do well, not necessarily a remake, but if they actually like modernize Gex, the Gecko Gex, I think that could actually do pretty good. Instead of making him about like TV shows and stuff like that, you can make him about internet culture and memes and selfies and stuff. I think that could actually work. So our Bolton's going over there. We're talking about remakes. So the 5th remake could be, what could they do with the 5th remake? Is there another platformer? Guess not. This one was a bit confusing. Trying to figure out where to... Oh yeah, I should have been did that, right? I still got it, but it didn't blow it up. This one's hard to figure out. That's still low. So what did standing on that actually do? Doesn't appear to have done anything. I ended up hurting myself with that. See, I think the problem here with me is that there actually is a lot of PS1 classics I haven't played. I'm just getting around to playing Final Fantasy VII original. So I think that's my problem. But I think those four are a very strong contender for remake. I guess this is kind of a joke, but I guess another remake would probably be Blasto or Jersey Devil, something like that. But if we were to get, oh, there it is. There it is. Looks like I figured it out. Which that isn't very easy to figure out. But it looks like I figured it out. Uh-oh. That's dangerous. Yeah, it's fun if you can fight these guys in clone form. That's really cool. I was really bullying these guys before. I forgot how good that snatchy is. This coming from like the current episodes. Just kind of getting my ass kicked by these guys and a couple similar enemy types. But here I handled them pretty well. That power soundbite. So what the hell is the explosive for, though? What's this for? Was this just set up here so you could get the boatman's coin? Looks like it was. Very strange area. Alright, and so that lowers that gate over there. Doesn't lower this one. But it does lower that gate over there. Okay, we have to figure out what number 5 is, though, when it comes to PS1 classics. We have to pick a definitive number 5. So for me and my limited knowledge of PS1 games, I'm going to pick Sub-Zero Mythologies. That's the number 1 game that needs to be remade because it was so bad. And it could honestly be like a Shaolin Monks type game. They could let you play as any number of Lin Kuei operatives. They could let you play as other characters too that that could be, if they remade that with like a Shaolin Monks type engine, it could really be pretty dope. I'm gonna go with that, honestly. It was a bit of a joke, but I think if they remade that with their current budget, the budget they put into their modern day games, they could do really well with it. And in general, just like a Mortal Kombat beat 'em up of the same quality as Shaolin Monks would be pretty solid in this day and age. So let's see, I got one action adventure game, one RPG, one Metal Gear. I guess you could also count Metal Gear as a, what is Metal Gear? It's not a shooter. Well, let me check the okay, we're getting near the end of this episode. Well, those are my top 5 PlayStation 1 remakes that I'd like to see. Number 5 could easily change, but I think it'd be a good idea to remake Sub-Zero Mythologies with a more competent design. Alright, and this next room is where I think I realized that I'm not recording. So, appreciate you guys for watching this episode. Definitely thank you for your patience. I hope you enjoy what I've recorded here. But yeah, this will be the end of this one. So, till next time, guys. Peace out.